Gold is over 50% of gold is held with governments and corporations. That percentage for Bitcoin it's tiny. It's like less than 10%. I think one of Satoshi's greatest ingeniouses was he got it out to the people. If he went to Goldman Sachs and said, I solved the Byzantine generals problem, let's IPO this thing on Wall Street, it would have never worked. Goldman Sachs would have had a 25% pre-allocation. Wall Street would have took it public. They would have had another 25%. The fact that 90% of Bitcoin is owned with us, we did it. You cannot corner a market. In order for them to get over 50% of this asset, I think it's too far gone. My opinion is Bitcoin's neutral money, and it's very it's antithetical, it's hypocritical for a Bitcoiner to say, Bitcoin's for all, Bitcoin empowers the individual, but kick BlackRock out.
Something is shifting inside the Bitcoin world, and not everyone is comfortable with it. For years, Bitcoin was the rebel asset, the one thing ordinary people owned that governments and banks could not control. It was built from the ground up, distributed quietly, and handed to the world before Wall Street even knew what was happening. That origin story is part of why so many people believe in it so deeply. But now the same institutions Bitcoin was built to resist are lining up to get a piece of it. BlackRock, governments, corporations, the very powers that print money, debase savings, and rob future generations of human labor, are now buying the asset that was supposed to protect us from all of that. And people are nervous. Bitcoiners are asking hard questions. Is Bitcoin being captured? Is Wall Street slowly swallowing the one thing that was truly ours? Jack Mallers has an answer that cuts straight through the noise, and it starts with one uncomfortable truth. He says it is hypocritical for any Bitcoiner to claim Bitcoin is for the people while simultaneously demanding that BlackRock be kicked out. Either Bitcoin is neutral money for everyone, or it is not. You cannot have it both ways. And the reason he says that so confidently comes down to something Satoshi did at the very beginning that most people still have not fully appreciated. Let's hear directly from Jack Mallers for more insights. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and enable notifications. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of the video.
But I think what you're getting at is, is Bitcoin being hyper-financialized? Is Wall Street, and you seem to think it's a net positive.
Dude, you took my next question, but...
I saw where you were going. I think, my opinion is, Bitcoin's neutral money. And it's very it's antithetical, it's hypocritical for a Bitcoiner to say, Bitcoin's for all, Bitcoin empowers the individual, but kick BlackRock out. But again, a common theme here is my opinion doesn't matter. What is important is that as a free market proponent, an activist, I should express my opinion, not only through my voice, but through my time, my energy, my effort, my labor, my capital. And I'm doing that. I've built Strike, I've built 21, and if I'm wrong, I will fail. And that's good. And if I'm right, I will have more capital and more money and more time and energy to continue to vote with what is more powerful than words. Words are... Unfortunately, people have a lot of words for me, but the exchange rate in words to Bitcoin is 0. I can't stack any sats with your words, with your opinions, with your ideas. You gotta do the proof of work. That's the only reason this thing works. And so my opinion is Bitcoin's neutral money. Everyone needs money. It is akin to water to a functioning society. For us to scale society, we need division of labor. We need the ability to take value we're creating now and store it into the future. That is just fact. BlackRock needs that. The US government needs that. Individuals need that. Third world countries need that. We all need that. And so the free market will figure it out. Also, part of me taking a company public was getting in the arena. Tether and I also think that Bitcoin wasn't represented properly in these circles, and we wanted a voice at the table. That's also like a reality too. So I think it's important. Listen, if Bitcoin is to fail because BlackRock adopted it, it was never going to work.
Yeah.
We have to fight within the free market realm to express Bitcoin and what we think it should be. I think it's a great thing that countries and Wall Street and institutions are adopting it. If you look at gold, is over 50% of gold is held with governments and corporations. That percentage for Bitcoin it's tiny. It's like less than 10%. I think one of Satoshi's greatest ingeniouses was he got it out to the people somehow. If he went to Goldman Sachs and said, I solved the Byzantine generals problem, let's IPO this thing on Wall Street, it would have never worked. Goldman Sachs would have had a 25% pre-allocation. Wall Street would have took it public. They would have had another 25%. The fact that 90% of Bitcoin is owned with us, we did it. You cannot corner a market. In order for them to get over 50% of this asset, I think it's too far gone. You'd have to bid this thing. There aren't 50% of it for sale. I don't believe that. You'd have to bid it to such a fiat price where I wouldn't exchange fiat for it anymore. So I think Satoshi solved that for us, and we have to compete in the free market as we should. It's antithetical to say it's for the people, it's distributed, but I don't like Larry Fink. Grow up, shut the up.
If Bitcoin succeeds at scale, who loses first?
It's kind of a trick question because, or at least I disagree with the premise, because I think everybody wins if Bitcoin is successful. In the left side of my chest, I fundamentally believe that. I think it is a net positive for our species, and everybody wins as it continues to help fix the money, fix the world. So everyone's a winner, in my opinion. But what I think you're asking is those that have a monopoly on money. Money is our time and energy in an abstracted form. It is. You wake up, you go to work, you sacrifice. You could be on the beach. You could be with your family. You could be pursuing, but money allowed humans to sacrifice the satisfaction of now to build a better later. And so our time and energy is money in an abstracted form. And so a government's ability to monopolize that, it's the closest thing we've ever seen to time travel. They are printing human time and energy. And if my money is a reflection of my time and energy, then their ability to debase it is by proxy their ability to debase and devalue me. You get less housing. You get less energy. You get less family. You get less food. It is, and the fact that they can borrow money they create from the future is time travel. They're pulling forward human labor from my kids. And so the biggest losers are those that are able to debase, manipulate, extract, and control human effort. No man should work for what another man can print. It's just as simple as that. Do not store your life's work in something someone else can create for free.
Here is the thing that most people miss when they panic about institutions entering Bitcoin. Satoshi already solved this problem before it even became a problem. Jack Mallers points out that over 50% of gold is held by governments and corporations. Bitcoin, less than 10%. Think about what that means. The people already won the distribution war. Satoshi did not go to Goldman Sachs and offer a pre-allocation. There was no Wall Street IPO number. 25% is set aside for bankers before the public ever touches it. Bitcoin was handed to the world first, and that changes everything about today's power dynamics. For any institution to gain majority control now, it would have to bid the price so high in fiat terms that holders would stop selling. Mallers believes that point has already passed. There is not enough Bitcoin available at any reasonable price for a hostile takeover to work. The market has already protected itself through its own design. So when Bitcoiners say the asset is for the people but then demand BlackRock be banned, Mallers calls that what it is: hypocritical. Bitcoin is neutral money. It does not check your politics before it works for you. Governments need it. Individuals need it. Everyone needs sound money.
I think, to me, it goes back to ego, proof of work, lowering your time preference. And I think, again, the truest expression of being human is being part of something bigger than yourself and being part of something that will last longer than you will. The most innate ability of performing that is family. Family is, by math, bigger than you. You can't reproduce a child, just yourself. And family in your bloodline, by reproducing, will last longer than you. Now, Bitcoin, I think, is another expression of that. And so I'll give you a concrete example. When I started Strike, I was very young. And what happened here in this country with the announcement of El Salvador, and we partnered with Twitter, a lot of the VC Silicon Valley investors got around me, and it was a pretty bad situation. I didn't know much. I had to learn a lot. And the most real painful lessons I learned was my job as an entrepreneur. I thought my job was to predict the future and tell you guys what the future was going to be, what you want, and effectively command. I was like, Lightning Network is going to do this. Countries are going to do this. Everyone else is wrong. I'm right. I'm a founder. My job is to predict the future. And it was an extraordinarily humbling experience where all of this is bigger than me. I need to shut the up and just listen. I work for customers. I work for the people. I should listen more than I speak. And my job is to be a humble participant in what everyone else needs from me. And Strike went from a startup that was failing on trying to do Lightning and trying to do all sorts of stuff when the world wasn't ready for it. And that's not what our customers wanted, and that's not what Bitcoin needed from me at the moment. And when FTX fell apart and the industry fell apart, Bitcoiners came to me and said, dude, we think Lightning will work someday, but right now, we just need a trusted institution from a Bitcoiner that we know isn't full of shit, that we can buy Bitcoin from, that we can take out a loan from, that we can store our Bitcoin with, that can actually get a license in Europe, that can go into Wall Street meetings and hold their heart in the right place. And that was when we pivoted and when I killed my ego. And I was like, I'm wrong all the time, and my job isn't to predict the future. My job is to listen to you guys and build what you need and be profitable and put my money where my mouth is. And so that was the biggest lesson. And again, it goes into proof of work, ego, being part of something bigger than myself, and hopefully building something that will last longer than me. And once we did that, we've became a tremendous success relative to what we were. And that was a very real growing up moment for me. I feel like as an entrepreneur, I became a man in that moment. And you said, if I could rewind time and do anything different? The last thing I'll say is I wouldn't rewind the time. The way I think about it is I had to learn a lot, and it was super painful. It was some of the hardest years of my life, but I don't regret it at all because I don't know how else I could have acquired those lessons as if they were assets. How else could I have acquired those lessons cheaper? I'm still standing here, and I still have the luxury to be in the arena and build for you guys, and you guys in the crowd have continued to support me despite mistakes I've made. And considering what I learned, I think I bought those lessons as cheap as I could have. So I wouldn't change anything, but I would say that is probably the answer you're looking for.
But the deeper point Jack Mallers makes is about money itself, and this is where the conversation stops being about Bitcoin and starts being about something much heavier. He describes money as human time and energy in an abstract form. When you wake up, go to work, and sacrifice your hours instead of spending them with your family or doing what you love, money is what captures that effort. It is how you store today's sacrifice and carry it into tomorrow. That is what money is supposed to do. Now think about what governments can do with a currency they control. They can print it. They can create new units of it from nothing. And when they do that, every unit you already hold becomes worth a little less. Your savings shrink. Your housing becomes less affordable. Your food costs more. Your time, your actual human effort, quietly gets stolen without anyone signing a warrant or knocking on your door. Mallers goes further. He says government borrowing is a form of time travel. They are pulling forward the labor of people who have not even been born yet, spending future human effort today, and passing the bill to the next generation. That is not just a financial problem. That is a moral one. And that is exactly why Bitcoin matters at this level. No one can print it. No one can create more of it in a meeting room. When you store your savings in Bitcoin, you are storing them in something that cannot be quietly devalued by a decision made without your vote or your knowledge. As Mallers puts it, no man should work for what another man can print. This framing resets the entire debate about institutions entering Bitcoin. Yes, BlackRock is buying. Yes, governments are watching. But the architecture of Bitcoin was designed to make corruption structurally expensive. The more powerful the buyer, the the more they have to pay. And the more they pay, the more they validate what the early holders already believed. The real question Mallers leaves on the table is not whether Bitcoin survives Wall Street. He is confident it does. The real question is whether the people who hold it understand what they actually have. Not just a trading asset, not just a number that goes up, but a tool that forces anyone who wants it, whether a citizen or a central bank, to earn it rather than manufacture it. That is the kind of money that fixes something broken at the root. So here is the question worth sitting with today. If Bitcoin is truly neutral money that nobody can control, does it matter who holds it, or only how much of it you hold yourself? Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.